What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be taking a look at the upcoming game Immortals Fenyx Rising. So huge thank you to Ubisoft for giving me the opportunity to play this game early. I got several hours to play on my personal rig, as essentially I remote connected to someone else to play this game, but we're just going to, in this video, talk about what the heck is this new game. And some of you may be thinking, wait a minute, like, I've seen this game before, but I don't remember the name, Immortals Fenyx Rising, like, that's totally new. And that's because this game was unveiled back in 2019 under a totally different name. It was at the time called Gods and Monsters, and it's set within the Greek mythology, and it has a lot of vibes from a lot of successful and amazing Ubisoft games. It has some Assassin's Creed vibes, there's even some For Honor vibes, and all of this is going on to combine and create a pretty unique experience actually. So, what is happening in the overarching storyline? Essentially, Typhon, the God Destroyer, has been unleashed, aka a big bad guy showed up and has wreaked havoc on the mythological area where those Greek gods live. So it's kind of like a giant island, and there's different sections of that island. Each section has its own landscape, its own creatures living there, its own activities, all of that stuff relating to a certain god. So in the area I was able to play at, it was the Forge Lands, home to the god Hephaestos, god of fire, hammer, anvil, and forge. So everything was very metallic, and there was like some robots roaming around as enemies and stuff like that. Like, you won't be able to find those robotic enemies on other parts of the map. Presumably each part of the map relates to the themes of a certain Greek god. Now, in terms of gameplay, it's essentially broken up into two different areas. Firstly, it's a hack and slash. So, as you can see from the background gameplay, you're attacking these much bigger enemies. You're often utilizing some vertical gameplay with your Wings of Demios, I think it was called, which allows you to jump up. You can glide between certain areas, but in combat, you're going to be using them a lot to kind of outsmart your enemies. And then you have different abilities, kind of like Assassin's Creed, honestly, where you can get certain combos or do certain things to unleash very powerful attacks. And you have a stamina bar, which lets you do these attacks, and once you run out of stamina, you either need to wait or just kind of do your normal light attacks to regenerate that stamina. Pretty common for these style of hack and slash games. And Assassin's Creed fans will be right at home here, because you have your light attacks, and those have different abilities. Then you have your heavy attacks, essentially a different heavy weapon and axe, that has certain abilities. And then you have your bow, which has its set of certain abilities. Very Assassin's Creed-like, but on top of that, on top of the hack and slash gameplay, we have some RPG light elements, because we have different skills and skill trees you can select from. We have a different loot you can acquire. Now, it's not, hey, everything is better as you continually level up in the game and you have to look at all these stats. It is really RPG light. The gear is essentially, the same attack as the other gear you already have. They just have different abilities and different stats. Like, do you want to generate more stamina, or do you want to heal yourself? And so essentially you can create these different builds, but it's not as complex as something like The Division 2, for example. And overall, this felt simple yet satisfying. Like, it wasn't overly complicated to get into, the controls felt pretty smooth, and the satisfying part is the kind of cartoony nature of the game. Like, when you finish off an enemy, he doesn't just die, he absolutely yeets into the stratosphere. Like, you'll see enemies fly away when you hit them with hammers and explode and all of this stuff. So that cartoony aspect is very satisfying when you are cutting your way through enemies. Now, again, that is kind of one part of the game. The other part, and I would say the other equal half from what I experienced part of this game, is like puzzle solving. Seriously, there is a lot of that within this game. A lot of different locations that I went to had a serious degree of puzzle solving. And I mean, you're going to see in the background gameplay, I had to figure out how to acquire all these different orbs and set them up in a certain layout to unlock, I believe it was like a skill point that I got for doing this, but you're gonna get certain, obviously advantages, loot pieces, etc. for doing these complicated puzzles. But it also means that, hey, if you're a fan of those things, and yeah, I know Assassin's Creed does have its fair share of that type of stuff as well, then you are going to be really into this game. It is going to test you mentally as well as those button combos. And then there is obviously areas of the game that test both of these aspects, the combat as well as the puzzle solving. There's these trials essentially where you jump into the underworld and you need to figure out how to get from one end to the finish line, and once you do get to the finish line, there's a lightning bolt of Zeus waiting for you, and that is going to permanently increase your stamina, which obviously matters quite a bit, both for traversal, but also for the combat. So some of these trials, like it was just purely puzzle solving, like the one you're seeing here, but a different trial, it was very combat focused, but it also combined, hey, figure out how to kill these enemies, and then figure out how to get out of this room, kind of, or figure out how to avoid these traps and time your jumps properly. So it was a pretty fun experience overall. Now, with all of that being said, however, the simplicity does have its drawbacks, and I would say that this game, for me, is a little bit too simplistic. Like, I would kill a big boss guy, and I wouldn't get any gear pieces that were better than what I already had. Now, keep in mind, some stuff was locked off for this playtest, like I wasn't able to upgrade any gear or anything like that, but I like a game that has those raw stats I can really dive into and create builds and so on, and this seems like a very light or diet version of those type of games. Now, with that being said, the advantage of this game is it's just a fun, casual hack and slash. And I honestly might just get this game as something to play, like, when you're kind of getting off Destiny or getting off whatever you're doing, and you just want to chill for like an hour or so before you go to bed. Well, getting back on Destiny isn't going to help, and switching to a game like Call of Duty, which is just as darn sweaty, that's not going to help either. This would fulfill the role as just a fun, casual game that you can play, you're not going to get stressed out about, you can just imagine that, enjoying your time in a video game without getting salty or stressed. I know that it doesn't come up very often anymore, but that's the niche I feel like this game would fill. So, overall, I enjoyed my time, except for a certain puzzle I couldn't figure out. That was some BS. I was not happy about that. But other than that, other than my dumb self not being able to figure out a puzzle, it was an enjoyable experience. It's not a game that I can honestly say I'm going to delve into or even make content on, but it is a game I can see myself just casually playing when I just want to relax and not stress over anything, So definitely check it out if you're in the market for that type of thing. Guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Fenyx Rising content, let me know in the comment section. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.